This goddamn millennial is complaining. I don't even think he's like too young to be considered a millennial. I think he's like a post-millennial.
Say, dude, we are millennials. We're like right near the cutoff. I think.
I'm sort of in that generation between millennials and iPad babies. I was part of the last few years before iPad babies.
Jesus Christ.
Kobe is like literally like half our age, minor. That's something to think about.
And
Why are you showing your driver's license, Peruzzi?
I don't know.
He's showing how young he has become.
And to be completely honest,
He's fucking been buttoning this thing.
I haven't even been watching wrestling for that long. My first pay-per-view was legitimately Elimination Chamber 2015.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Oh, Kobe.
That's less than since
You gotta
I've
start
been
somewhere.
back.
Yeah, you gotta sit somewhere. And I found wrestling, and I was like, hey, this looks interesting. And then I did my research, and here I am.
All right. So we're going live now. So your confession of your inexperienced professional wrestling has just been streamed live to
It's okay.
the audience of nobody.
The
So-
millions!
That's good.
And
I was gonna say, like, my first experience watching wrestling, like, I knew about it. I would, like, watch WCW with my uncle and stuff like that. But, like, what really got me was when Kane set JR on fire. I was hooked.
Really?
I was like, is this real?
Oh my god.
How long
Is this
ago was
on-
that?
this is-
Were we over the age of 18 at that point, minor?
Oh yeah.
Because I
Well,
remember looking at it.
wait. 2002, 84 for
Yeah.
me. Yeah, about 17, 18.
2002. Okay, so we're close. I just remember watching that going, that's stupid.
It got me hooked. I was like, this can't be. And then it was followed up by wrestling. I was like, what?
It's like,
I get fire and violence at the same time?
The great thing for me about that was when he set JR on fire. Just, you know, you can tell it's not JR, and he's not really around.
Oh yeah, the noise he made. too.
Yes.
All right, so the windows are gonna get super wacky here to anybody watching for a brief second, but I'm gonna paste in the discussion notes for you guys. So this is the rough order in which we're gonna be discussing shit in here. If nobody wants to discuss the Brooklyn spoilers for any particular reason, I suggest you wander away from the computer at that time.
I definitely will.
Okay.
I didn't want to read them, but I was like, you know what?
Wait,
Fine.
spoilers for what?
Take over Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Well, it's just
definitely
a
not.
card, or
The full card. No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
they actually, you see, somebody went back in time and told us how the whole fucking thing turned out.
That
With
is-
me, as a matter
see?
of fact. Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah. Time travel is real.
I need to hop a ride. I got some mistakes I need to clean
Okay.
I got a baby Hitler I need to kill.
Let me just say this real quick. I did some fact checking, and this is like sort
Oh,
of
boy.
maybe draft foreshadowing or whatever. Notice Ty Dillinger actually hasn't competed since the end of June, and there's been no news of injury or
Yeah,
anything.
we're gonna be talking about that. So.
Just wanted to put that out there. You know, the perfect 10.
Oh, mine just wandered away. God damn it.
Wait, hold up. Once he comes back, I've been studying my Matt Hardy puns to know how to deal with this.
Oh, Jesus.
Good grief.
We'll throw the floor to you, Kobe.
Yup.
Oh, God damn it. This is a bad idea.
Me plus Matt Hardy equals bad.
Mm.
I'm getting all my Matt Hardy stuff out of the way before the show starts, so that
I'm
way you
sure
can
you'll have
actually
some
take
left
me
over.
serious. Yeah, I'm sort of like a pizza party. You think you're gonna eat all of it, and then there's still like one slice left over because apparently no one wanted it.
How many of us?
Strange analogy.
Brother Mina, I knew you'd come.
Oh god.
Jesus Christ. Alright. Let's go ahead. Let's
Somebody say Kane.
Yeah. Alright, let's go ahead. Let's get this thing rolling.
Shirt's older than you, Kobe.
Alright, in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Welcome.
Hello,
This edition. Shut up! This is my part.
it's me. Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna ransack it.
Welcome.
Welcome to Changing the Questions. Go on, Paul.
That's hijack.
Show where everything's made up, but the
Ransacking
points
would be
don't matter.
If you came and like busted up all the shit in my place, which kind of.
Hello,
I still plan on it.
This is changing the question.
Actually, I'm
CTQ
kind of
retreat.
organizing
The show where
it.
we shut up. the show where we discuss all of the random goings-on in the world of professional wrestling, and I swear it feels like every week we do this show, there's just more shit to talk about. And I guess that's a good thing. Let's go ahead and introduce our panel.
By the way, thank you for welcoming me back. I appreciate
upper
that.
right-hand corner, the man that everybody's going to be wondering, why is he bigger than all the others? But really, it was just formatting, is Daniel Peruzzi.
Yes, I'm the big guy.
Second biggest guy. I'm still the biggest.
Well,
In the lower...
I am in Vegas, so it makes
In the
sense.
bottom row, in approximately equal proportion, starting with our lower left, we have Antoine Clay, Sean DeGamer.
Oh, me? I wasn't expecting that.
Yes. In the middle, we have the youngin', the fledgling of the group, Mr. Kobe Schoolman.
Matt Hardy.
And he's just become a Matt Hardy Pokemon now. He's not even saying he's just Matt Hardy, Matt Hardy, Matt Hardy, Matt Hardy. And then in the lower right-hand corner, we have my oldest and dearest partner in crime, Mr. Michael James Minor.
Good afternoon.
Gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for joining me today. Let's go ahead and start things off. I'm going to try and do this in, like, the roughest chronological order I can. And the first thing we're going to discuss today is the Wyatt family compound segment and whether or not that was a blatant ripoff of the final deletion. For those of you who did not see, go ahead, I'll try and pull it up here. The New Day invaded the Wyatt family compound, and compared to what had just aired less than a week before, some similarities here. I think it was meant to be more horror than comedic, but very overproduced in the way that the final deletion took place in a remote location. Lots of similarities here. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this is just some sort of weird coincidence that these two very different segments took place at about the same time? Or do you think that WWE was trying to ape the aesthetic of the final deletion?
See, this kind of reminded me of like a Grindhouse film without all the blood when it comes to the compound. It was interesting. Did I think it was a blatant ripoff? No. Was it maybe based off similar ideas? Yes. But it fits more with the Wyatt's character, so it made more sense for why the New Day would go to them. And they had like a little bit of build to it, even though it was a week worth, but we had some kind of knowledge of what was happening. It wasn't like it just popped up.
That's true. What do you think, Dan?
I mean, I
Raw
think
recap.
people seeing the Wyatt compound like in action, so to say, not just like the promos from inside the shed, is a thing people have wanted to see for a while. But at the same time, like, I don't know, it felt like it was more done as a reaction. It was definitely done as a reaction to the final deletion. Nobody will debate that.
You'd be surprised.
People are straight up saying that it just wasn't like it at all.
People are saying no. That I got in a number because when I posted the article on the website, there was a number of different people who were saying no, they're not the same thing, or WWE had theirs thought out in advance, or they taped it prior to the final deletion, which means nothing because they could have seen in advance of the final deletion, or just heard about it.
There was reports that a lot of WWE members got tape of it long before it aired on Pop.
Which is no surprise.
So,
I don't know exactly how far in advance the final deletion was, but we know it was at least a week, probably more. So, and they had sent out advance copies to guys like Max Landis and wrestling figures and things like that, so they could get reactions for a trailer that they were running. So,
gotcha.
But nonetheless, there's
sense.
still people who are just insisting that these two had nothing to do with each other, despite the fact that literally, there hasn't been a segment like either of these two really ever, and they both happen to happen within less than a week of each other.
Yeah.
I definitely think it was a reaction to, not a straight carbon copy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like for the WWE side, it could have come off a lot better if it wasn't the over-edited, over-produced thing that it was. If it was just a single shaky cam a la Blair Witch style, or maybe two cams, but a little bit less roughly edited and more just like raw footage type of thing, I think it would have been a lot better. But
so to me, what it felt like WWE got a look at the final deletion. Look at TNA. Look at what they're trying to do. They're trying to make a movie. Well, we'll show TNA how to do it properly, and then they did this. And You know, again, this is something that people disagree with me on, but the final deletion beats this by leaps and bounds.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. But I think like they shouldn't have actually fought. I think they should have just went to the compound. It should have been like some kind of negotiation for a match or something with like just spooky elements,
That's a good idea.
freaking Xavier Woods out because he's already spooked. He already didn't want to be there. So
That's
I
the
thought it'd
thing.
been better.
That's the issue. Is that, you know, like everybody's, you know, bagging on the final deletion for being stupid, but the final deletion had a coherent narrative. It had a beginning, it had a middle, it had an end, and this was just
Still
like
going.
you started.
It's still going.
Yeah,
The whole story.
yeah, but I'm just saying that specific match and everything surrounding it.
Are you talking about that particular chapter? If you
Yeah.
want to call it that,
Yeah,
okay,
pretty
then
much.
I can understand.
But this just felt like we started in the middle, like they're at the Wyatt compound all of a sudden. They fight, you know, you have Bray Wyatt swinging fucking axes at people, and then they just kind of fight, and then they're done, I guess. You know, I thought that there was going to be some sort of payoff of the Wyatt family capturing Xavier Woods, and then Kofi and Big E have to bail, and then they leave Xavier at the compounds. But no, it was just they showed up, they fought, and then it was done. There was no resolution. There was no, like, how is this making the Wyatt or the New Day see the dark side or whatever? I don't know. Like, it felt like it made no sense. And like I said, it really felt like they did it just to ape the final deletion. If this had more of a coherent story, or it led to something furthering the storyline between the Wyatts and the New Day, I could see that more, but it really felt to me like WWE took a look at the final deletion and went, hey, we can do this better, tried and failed.
Like yeah, like if they would have just stretched this out maybe until Battleground, like little video packages every week, that could have been better than like have a real match at Battleground. That would have been a lot better than just having this, like you said, kind of piggybacking off the final deletion.
I do
Okay,
feel
my
like
thought on it.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead, Spaceman Dan.
I do feel
It's like you're in a NASA space station right now. That's all I'm saying. With your microphone, it just sounds like that. It's pretty awesome, the effect you got going there. So
It's where I am.
maybe it's a squatter station. I don't know.
Broadcasting from the moon. Daniel Craig.
Changing the questions, going
Squatting.
anywhere.
Interplanetary.
The whole thing felt like it was just really rushed for me. Like, it was one week they mentioned the compound, the next week the fight had already happened and they already had footage. Like, it just all felt very rushed. And I don't know if that's because they're trying to jam this entire program in before the brand split happens, or if they wanted to get all the stuff in before Battleground. How the New Day reacts at Raw tonight is going to make or break this for me. Like, it's already kind of but if the New Day comes out tonight and is like, they're all like Xavier's been the last 2 weeks, and they're like, no games, no jokes, this was terrifying, our lives were in danger, we need to get serious and stop this New Day, or stop the Wyatts. Like, and if there are no jokes, no bootios, none of the jokes, and they just come out dead serious, and we see that for 5 minutes, that will be enough of a difference from their normal thing to say, okay, there was a point to all this. But if they come out jovial and joking again, it's just not going to feel the same.
There should have been some type of reveal in this. Like, I'm sorry, just 1 second. Like a Luke Harper return or a Sister Abigail coming or something. If there was some kind of reveal in here, it would have been better.
Yeah, that would have been a good place for it. I definitely agree. And that's the thing too. Is another thing that people, you know, that the argument I've been getting into people with about is that, you know, the concept that TNA could do anything good enough for WWE to copy. Okay, WWE is the better show. It's the better promotion, far and away. TNA is a goddamn dumpster fire with the way things are run there. Not necessarily the talent, but just as a promotion as a whole, they are just very... They're nowhere close to what WWE is, but the fact of the matter is that you can still take a look at something, and whether it's through just the pride of thinking you can do it better, or seeing some merits in the quality of something, you know, at the end of the day, the final deletion is going to be remembered. It's going to be for it being great or being awful or however you consider it. People are going to look at the final deletion 5-10 years from now and go, man, do you remember that thing? People are going to look at the Wyatt family compound thing, and the only thing, if they remember it all, they're going to remember is that this happened right after the final deletion. So I didn't like it. I think that they could have... If you want to do something that kind of apes horror aesthetics that you're clearly trying to do, they could have done it in a better way. Maybe make that the whole match at Battleground and pre-tape that and do it that way. That would have been a better solution. But to just shotgun it into this 4-minute segment on Monday Night Raw and basically use your trump card, your cool thing, they can't do this again without it looking like it's just a copy of that or retread of that. So I feel like they used up one of the bullets they could have had in this feud on basically a throwaway segment, and again, it felt like to capitalize on the hype of the final deletion.
Okay, I'm getting my points across quick before you guys interrupt me again. So,
No. Moving
It's
on.
good?
So what did everybody
Oh,
think about the...
pissed off.
What? Go on.
Yeah, well, bastards. My take on it was, it was interesting to say the least.
Hang on. You got a little...
And you thought Dan was a
Yeah,
spaceman.
your audio is pretty awful right now, dude. Go
Can you hear me?
stop you there. Sort of, yes. Yeah.
Sort of.
Okay, it's better
That's
now.
better.
Anyway. So anyway,
Yeah, go ahead.
as I was saying, it was interesting. That's one thing I can get out of it. The final deletion, as far as the style goes, the way it was filmed, the Wyatt compound, I don't know, what's it called? Compound fracture or something?
Compound butter,
So
I
they-
believe.
What is it?
Nothing.
Whatever. Compound fracture, I think, is what they were calling it, and the final deletion. As far as the style goes, the film style, similar. As far as the atmosphere goes, like you said, it had a horror atmosphere, but it was kind of shotgunned out there, and it's kind of a negative thing. Now, they'd have to keep going with it, because if they abandon it at this point, it's kind of a failed prospect. But the final deletion, like you said, was built up over probably the course of a month and a half, 2 months even. This whole Wyatt family thing just kind of happened out of nowhere. But for what they did, I thought it was okay. If you don't take into account that the final deletion happened, it was all right. But it was just kind of stuck out there super quick. And if they don't follow up on it, then what was the point? The thing it reminded me of was the vignettes that they would air a couple of years back, 2-3 years back with the Wyatts, except I guess they threw the New Day in there. And they kind of gave it a few more minutes. But other than that, I'm still a little back and forth on it. I thought it was interesting. Braun Strowman, monster of a man, they could have revolved a lot of that around him and his size, but they just kind of like put that out there, and it was too all over the place, I guess. But it was interesting. But other than that, hopefully they elaborate a bit more on it, and we see more tonight. So that's my take.
Let's go ahead and move along. I'm going to skip some of the stuff and save it for the end to make sure we have time for all the important stuff. NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, the more or less official lineup for that card has been announced. So if you are listening to this and you do not want to find out or be spoiled about what that card's going to be, let's have somebody hold something up for the duration of this discussion, and then you can just mute this. I'll hold up here. We'll use there we go. We'll have good old Ryback, the Ryback spoiler warning here, or the box of bootios. I like Ryback here. We're gonna just set Ryback right here. I'll just have to hold him again. No place to put him. God damn it. Okay, so this is Ryback. Hi, say hi to Ryback.
Hi,
Ryback. As long as Ryback is on camera, we will be discussing the NXT TakeOver Brooklyn spoilers. When Ryback goes away, then you know it's safe to listen again. So up Ryback. Alright, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn spoilers. Main event for the NXT Championship. Samoa Joe versus Shinsuke Nakamura. The Women's Championship is going to be Asuka versus Bayley 2. For the NXT Tag Team titles, we're going to have the Revival versus Gargano and Ciampa. We are also going to have American Alpha versus the Authors of Pain, Austin Aries versus Noe Jose, and the debuting or soon to debut Bobby Roode taking on Andrade Cien Almas. So that is our TakeOver Brooklyn card. I'm going to be able to see it live. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is going to be so fucking awesome.
Piss off.
So, what do we think of this card in general?
A great card.
Really good card.
Any thoughts beyond this thing is dope, or?
It's an NXT show. You're going to expect greatness. You got a main event like Joe Nakamura. Like, haven't they already like they've been testing this match, haven't they? Like on the
Yes, yeah, they have
So-
done. They have done it at live events.
yeah. So now they're probably cleaned up, and I think they've wrestled before in the past, so they know each other already, and it's just going to be a great, entertaining main event. And then you have the debut in Bobby Roode. We've been waiting to see him. We've seen little glimpses of him on, Instagram. He popped up that one time, but we haven't seen him wrestle yet on TV. So it's just hype all the way around. And then you got Oscar versus Bailey too.
You haven't seen him wrestle on TV unless you've been watching TNA for the past 15 years.
Me, no.
Womp womp.
So yeah, I
We
mean,
ripping
Oscar
off
versus,
TNA again.
yeah, Oscar versus Bailey too, and then we get the debuting also Archers of Pain.
They have
Against
already wrestled a number of times.
No, I'm
Plus
just
on
saying-
Wednesday,
oh.
Alpha and Authors of Pain are wrestling.
Yeah, I just meant like on a takeover, so we can actually see what they can do against the Alphas. And this may actually, well, no, this is going to be after the split, so never mind. I'm done.
Okay.
Is there any shot the authors win right off the bat like this?
Yes.
Possible. I'll be interested because they're supposed to be taking on American Alpha this Wednesday. So I don't know how that's going to play out. Actually, I'm betting that that the authors are going to win this Wednesday and kind of get the up on American Alpha until Takeover Brooklyn, and then Alpha will win on that one. So interestingly enough, no Finn Balor, which was kind of expected. No Nia Jax, no Alexa Bliss. There are a number of people who are not on this card that maybe because they're not going to be in NXT that time, and I guess this is the point where we will bring down the Ryback spoiler and discuss the coming WWE draft that is going to be taking place tomorrow night on SmackDown Live. The rules for said draft have been released. I have to find them because it's one of the few things I didn't have pulled up here. But the most interesting thing about the rules is
It's
that...
stupid.
What's that?
They're stupid.
They're stupid, yes.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and let me pull this up. Hang on.
It makes it more official. It makes it feel more like a real sport, which is something that
Well,
WWE has done a lot to legitimize recently.
I mean, I get that, but it's just certain. We'll talk about it, but it's just certain things in here that's like, it makes things a little bit more iffy going forward, in my opinion.
So,
TNA doesn't need a draft.
so Raw has the first overall pick. Since SmackDown is a live 2-hour show and Raw is 3 hours, for every 2 picks SmackDown receives, Raw gets 3. Tag teams count as 1 pick unless the commissioner or general manager specifically only want 1 member of the team. And the big one, 6 picks will be made off the NXT roster. So my issue with these rules is it immediately establishes Raw as the superior brand.
Right,
That
exactly.
is my biggest complaint because Raw gets
What
the
did
first
I say a
pick.
few weeks ago?
Yeah.
What was going to happen?
Raw gets the first pick, and they get 3 picks for every SmackDown's 2. I don't the 2 to 3 hour rule is dumb.
Yeah.
All this does is make it look like Raw's the better show and SmackDown's the afterthought, right off the bat.
And it like thins the roster
I-
even more.
I don't entirely agree.
Okay, why do you disagree? What's your counter argument?
It's just there's an extra hour of programming to take care of. Like, it makes sense they need more people to fill that space. Otherwise, you're just gonna get repeats and a bunch of things we don't need. Like
You
the
don't think
issue
we're
with
gonna get
SmackDown.
that anyways?
I mean, but like, do you need
issue-
a third pick every slot? How about every like 1 or 2 draft they get an extra one or something like that?
Well, it's gonna be like every 2 picks they get an extra pick. So they're gonna
Yeah,
have
something like that.
that's what it is. It's 3 to 2. So
No,
like,
no, no. It's like no. I think they're picking 3 at a time, and then like 1, 2, 3, and then SmackDown gets 2 like that.
Unnecessarily.
I don't necessarily think so. But so I'm betting it'll be like Raw, SmackDown, or like,
Raw.
If it's
Raw,
like that, then it'll
SmackDown.
make more sense.
Yeah.
But
So-
if they just pick 3 and then pick 2, then that's
No,
just
I
like
don't think that they'll do that. Either way, though, like I said, it still feels like here's my issue, Perzine. I get what you're saying, in theory, but and if they do that, actually, then fine. But the thing is that we have a roster twice as big now, and we still see the same 20 people over the course of 3 hours every week in.
and this is gonna fix that. This is what's supposed to
Why?
remedy.
We have double the people now, but they
Because we
can't
won't see
not
the
do
same
that.
people on 2 shows. We won't see as much just blind recaps for no reason. That's the whole point. Paul was that excited about what I'm saying.
Sorry, no,
Um,
I'm
Please
assuming
get off to the side.
I'm sorry, my wife just got a new, better paying job, and she's very excited, and I'm very excited too.
Nice.
For her, so.
Congratulations.
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 But no, I
Congratulations,
think that makes total sense. Like, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of it when I first heard it, but it's the only logical way to fix the divide between the two because of show length, other than cutting Raw down to 2,
No,
which I would be all for. But WWE's never going to do that because they're never going to lose that money. So, I don't know.
I don't know. I still don't. Like I said, the problem with
And
it's okay, fine. Okay, fine. Give SmackDown the first pick then.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Why
Raw
does Rock
gets
get the first
pick,
pick?
and they get
Three
you
extra-
know, they
they
get
get extra pick.
33% more.
That's not
people.
fair.
It's
not fair.
It makes it makes more sense in terms of going back and forth and not giving Raw too many double picks back and forth. If SmackDown gets the first pick, Raw is going to get 2 double picks very early.
Now-
It'd be SmackDown, Raw. It just
Do you
wouldn't
think
work out.
SmackDown's going to get more heavy hitters?
So that's
Well,
that's
here's
They're gonna get the fresher
What?
talent at least.
yeah, like remember Shane is running SmackDown and Stephanie is running Raw. Stephanie has always been about excuse my weird talking.
sorry.
59 states.
Matt Hardy.
But anyways, Stephanie's always been about the status quo.
Right.
She's always been about what is best for business, while Shane symbolizes change. So, even though we may not be getting as many guys on Raw, on SmackDown, we're going to get a lot more of these fun guys on SmackDown in theory because Shane likes change. So it's going to be something along the lines of a lot of these technical wrestlers, these mid-carder guys, are going to go to SmackDown, while Raw in theory is going to have, the tried, true, and tested guys, the John Cena's, the Randy Borton's, the Shamos, the whatever.
Yeah, but those are also the people who have the biggest name and garner the biggest, respect and attention from the company, and that's gonna lead to again Raw being considered the number 1 brand, and SmackDown being considered the number 2, the number 2 show.
I
That's
don't
the thing.
think. Oh, I don't know. I just have a feeling that Raw don't want none.
I don't know. So
I think
here's the thing. This can be
SmackDown. Go on.
okay. They can overcome this. This is just putting SmackDown, I feel, at, just back from the starting block a bit. Now, based on the decisions they make with the draft, and we still don't know what's happening with the champions and whatnot, they may counterbalance this. They may make it so, SmackDown has some of the bigger guys and whatnot. But I just feel like to start off with, this just, starts off with the idea that SmackDown is kind of the number 2 show personally. That's
Yeah,
just
I
how
think at the start of the draft, like Shane, if this is going to happen like this, where they give more picks, Shane has to make better picks. He has to make Stephanie look like an idiot from the offset. Like maybe her jealousy or her rage against Dean Ambrose, she forgets to pick him first because he's the champion, and she picks like Seth Rollins or somebody, and then Shane thinks, I'm going to pick the champion.
Right. Yeah. That, like I said, they can overcome it. I just feel like they're starting off with a handicap personally.
I don't think that
This
3 to
is
2
just
is.
like. Let me talk, goddammit!
Your audio is still fucking terrible, Minor.
It's still fucking terrible. God damn it! Hang
I
on.
think it's more your connection than your microphone, which means
While he
your girlfriend's
fixes-
probably watching Netflix.
Of course.
And
Well, while he fixes that, like I don't think 3 to 2 is that great of a deficit. Like if there's 75,
advantage.
if there's 75 people total,
33%.
it's
of
30.
winning.
Well, what
45
actually-
is how it breaks down.
What scared me about that was like when they actually gave the list of wrestlers. It's like when you see those names, it's not a lot of names. I know there's more, but it's like then you talk about 3-2. It's like it's kind of uneven when you're talking about things like that.
It's an extra hour of matches to get in there. Like
I don't want that extra hour.
none of us here want that extra hour, I don't think, but WWE and the shareholders want that extra hour. So that's
I
what
understand.
matters.
Bueller?
Oh no, you're still terrible.
Fuck.
Yes.
And I don't know if you want to talk about this now, and they still haven't like addressed the issue of where the titles are going to go. Are they going to float? Are they going to be separate? Things like that. Are we getting new titles and things like that?
So I feel like because they didn't specifically mention it in these rules, that the champions are going to be draftable, that they're going to have a specific brand they're going to. And if there are any belts that are going to be created, they're going to be done after the draft.
I was thinking that too. Like,
Makes
okay,
sense.
we have holes to fill, so now let's fill them.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing is going to happen, and we'll see how that shakes out. Again, I don't necessarily think it's a good idea to split the women's and tag divisions because they're so kind of short. But it seems like that's going to be what they're going to be doing, so I don't know. So other things that are unknown right now, at least on one side, it appears that the Steph and Shane are going to have general managers of their own to pick.
And those will be announced at the start of Raw. I just read that
Yes.
that will
Yeah.
be the start of Raw.
Yes, this will be announced at the start of Raw. We pretty much already know who SmackDown's is going to be. At least that's what WWE leaked last week, that it was going to be Daniel Bryan. I suppose WWE can pull an audible and have him not be, but right now that seems like that's going to be the case. So who do we think is going to be the general manager of Raw? And if we think that SmackDown is going to make a change, who do we think is going to be that? Dan, we'll start with you.
I still want Eric Bischoff on Raw. I still think that would be best for business. Stephanie going with the ex-rival, who I think, did she side with Bischoff during the
I mean, they
The
made
invasion?
out once. That was
did
weird.
Shane and Stephanie? Okay, well that's the thing. I
Sounds
don't
like
know.
Super weird.
But
Minor,
yeah,
holding
so,
it
I
closer
mean-
to your face is not going to help the matter.
it isn't the volume of it, like it's
Swallowing
the quality.
microphone is not going to help. You sound like you're.
I mean, we'll get some more viewers that way probably.
I felt the
But,
crowd.
Final video. Michael Myers swallows microphone.
Mike
Mike-
swallows Mike.
Mike swallows mic.
But so I'm still gonna say Bischoff. I said Bischoff for SmackDown before. I'm gonna say Bischoff for Raw, and I think Daniel Bryan makes sense. Daniel Bryan for SmackDown.
Okay. Minor. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. What do you think?
Sign language.
All right. Kobe. Next. Moving along.
Okay, I think that, yeah, keep Brian on SmackDown because, come on, who cares if you're gonna expect it? You're going to get a huge pop anyway. It's sort of like a debate I had with this other guy about the Battleground match between Charlotte and Dana versus Sasha and a mystery partner where Bayley was coming in, but I'm not gonna get too deep into that. But on Raw, I'm surprised neither of you guys have mentioned this. Go with the obvious best for business pick, according to Stephanie, Triple H. Keep it in the family. Although some other ideas, why not maybe I know people would probably hate this in the long run, maybe bring back William Regal, have him do double duty on NXT and Raw, or maybe, just for the fun of it, how about Stephanie picks Paul Heyman? And then as to spite Stephanie, Shane picks Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
Since Brock Lesnar was not listed with Paul Heyman, but like Miz was listed with Maurice and Rusev was listed with Lana. So you have that potential there. And yeah, come on, who doesn't love a bit of Paulie dangerously?
All right, Minor. We'll try this. You ready to talk?
Yeah, is it working any better or no?
It's a little better.
A little better.
A little better? Okay. As far as a pick for SmackDown, Daniel Bryan, it's something that we were talking about months and months and months ago. I think around the Royal Rumble, what would they do at a general manager or something, and I said Daniel Bryan. Personally, I'd like to see him as a heel on Raw.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Nobody wants to expect it. Nobody wants to see it. But, my thing is, like, if they want to book interesting, why not take O'Brien, stick him on Ross? Hey, look, Steph and Triple H always called me a B-plus player, but Steph actually convinced me to do this, and she said I'd be an A-plus general manager, and we're going to correspond on things, and we're going to make the show right. We're going to run it right and go from there. But as far as a Raw general manager, I don't know. I really don't know who to pick at this point that would fit with Stephanie. Maybe I'm just drawing a blank, but I don't know. I was going to say something like Mick Foley, but he's done it before. I just see Stephanie picking somebody really underhanded. But as far as who that would be, maybe JBL. Maybe she could pick
Hall
JBL.
game.
Maybe Lawler. Mike Adamle. No.
Tony Schiavone.
Yeah. Schiavone. I don't know. It's. I'm just drawing a blank right now. But I can see her picking somebody like JBL, perhaps the King, maybe even Michael Cole. Going back to a couple of years ago when he had a bigger role. But I can see Dan O'Brien, but what I want and what we're going to get are going to be two separate things. So,
All right, Sean.
Bring back the anonymous Raw general manager.
Like I don't really care what like brands they go to, but like if I wanted to see general managers on either show, like one of my choices would be like either Edge or Christian.
Why not
Just
have one
because-
on each?
Yeah, one on each.
Oh,
Christian.
Edge
Uh,
and Christian.
Paul's
There's an
dream
and
right
in there
there.
for a
That kind
reason.
of makes sense. Like you'll have like Shane and Stephanie, and then like two like best friends still going at it like competition wise. Other people, Dixie Carter, and then like realistically, you're probably gonna get Triple H, but I like to see like a Kurt Angle for SmackDown or something.
That's not bad.
What if as a plot twist they got Dario Cueto?
Or you can just swerve everybody and bring back JR.
Yeah,
Batista.
okay. So,
Blue
I
Tista.
think Daniel Bryan, fine for SmackDown GM. Keep that as it is. That's good. Okay. The problem with turning Daniel Bryan heel, minor, and honestly, this would not be a terrible idea, but for the simple fact that nobody's gonna want to boo the guy. It's not like a thing of like, he's kind of like worn out as a babyface. Everybody still loves him, and I just don't feel like, there's heel turns where faces can turn into work, but the thing is that he can't, if he's a heel, then nobody can get any real heat off of him because he can't physically deal with him anymore. I feel like Bryan is one of those people who just kind of should be a babyface the whole time.
You don't think he could be that smarmy heel that can't be...
I know he can. I've seen his heel work in Ring of Honor. I know he can be an asshole. I just think at this point in his career and his life and the way he had to retire with that tearful goodbye and everything, I just feel like people don't want to boo that guy anymore. And I think that they should keep him as the babyface.
At least not at the moment.
Yeah.
You've also got to think at this point, it's not just that people don't want to boo him, but at the same time, it is story driven, and I think a lot of people realize that it's story driven, so they can try to get the audience to boo the guy, but this is all hypothetical anyway. I think if he wants to, he can elicit the response that he really wants, no matter what role he's in, whether he's a face, whether he's a heel. I think if he wants the audience to boo him, he will find reasons to get them to boo him, whether the script will, enable that to happen or not. I think he's talented enough to make it work. But, like I said, it's all hypothetical. It may not even happen. We may never see it again. So it's neither here or there. But, that's my own selfish want. I'd like to see him with one more heel run since it's been so long, and I think he can pull it off. But I just don't see it happening at this point. So, but I do see where you're coming from.
What if Daniel Bryan's a plant for Stephanie, and then it's like all a big ruse to get the belt off Dean Ambrose and put it on somebody like Kevin Owens or somebody?
What if Daniel Bryan is an actual plant? Like some sort of
Like if he's actually Mitch? Oh,
Return
my
of
God.
Mitch.
What if Mitch was the GM? Okay, so
He was a vegan, and he cannibalism of some sort. I don't know.
Chris Jericho's light up jacket for
So
SmackDown GM.
For Raw GM, Triple H is the obvious pick, and honestly, not a bad one. It makes sense. We haven't seen him in a while. He can do the job.
It's been good that way.
Can we do away with the GMs? Can we just do away with them? Because it's been, about 19, 20 years at this point that we've been doing this, and there's always been some GM that's been an a-hole, and that's what's been driving the storylines.
Well,
It's a little tired at this point.
This is why I want Regal.
My hope at this point is that both of these GMs are going to be fairly hands-off and handle things more like William Regal does on NXT. Maybe if Triple H is in that role, then that's just not going to happen.
Jack, like a Jack Tunney kind of thing, where every once in a while pops up, makes a match, make sure this thing goes down right, and let it sort itself out. That's what I like, the kind of hands-off approach that you're talking about. But I just can't see that happening because they're so into it, even 20 years later. It's just
in any case.
Well, if it's Triple H and Daniel Bryan, just to make a quick point, they want to work like lighter schedules anyways. So wouldn't it make sense for them to only show up every once in a while to just regulate, like, hey, you two can't be doing this cage match next week or something like that?
So Triple H, like I said, he's kayfabe wise, he's a smart pick. Why would Stephanie pick anybody but her husband? In terms of who I'd want to see, Eric Bischoff isn't bad, but I just don't want to go back. Like, I just don't want to go back to an old GM. Like, I want there to be something new and fresh going forward. Eric Bischoff is really good at what he does, but I just want to see somebody else at this point.
Rockstar
Spud, sure.
If it is Triple H's mantra was always best for business, but he could change that up a little. And I've brought the name up just a few minutes ago, and I'll bring it again, like Dario Cueto. Since McMahon is like the baby version of Dario Cueto. And if you have Triple H, he's been doing stuff, he's been making good business decisions, he's been watching talent from around the world. He knows what's up. And he can sort of take cues from Dario Cueto with that. Yeah, and not be afraid to have a little fun, get a little violent. I mean, you have potentially Finn Balor, potentially Shinsuke Nakamura on the roster. You have some of these hard hitters, and with Triple H in mind, he can take advantage. He could be the sadistic general manager. Stephanie may have to calm him down, and that can lead to some turmoil. That can lead to Shane McMahon saying, hey, whoa, Raw's getting a little crazy. We could do something like that where it leads to Triple H and Shane having a match or something, but have Triple H be a little more sadistic, have the crowd love him and hate him at the same time, like Dario Cueto.
I also think it would be interesting if Triple H were to come up and pull all 6 NXT picks, because they're his children. So
that would be beautiful, actually.
That would be a good pick. If you don't want to go with Triple H, you could go with the next best thing and go Shawn Michaels.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
He's been around a while. He has close ties to the McMahon-Helmsley family. He always has, or at least for.
Wait. I didn't think about this. Notice the Undertaker wasn't listed there. What?
No way they're doing
No,
that.
wait, hold up. This actually makes
Undertaker's
sense.
on one, Kane's on the other.
But this makes sense. Undertaker has always been close to the McMahons. Undertaker was always Vince's guy during the Monday Night Wars. Who was always there? The Undertaker. Now, their logic could be, why not have it be paid forward, where you have the Undertaker actually doing it? I think it makes some sense if you don't want to go the Triple H
But
route.
Undertaker just did a favor for the McMahons, and we saw how that worked out. We still got Shane as GM.
Yeah, but it could be Taker truly proving his
That's
loyalty.
interesting, but it is going to require another pretty big pivot of the Undertaker's character if they're going to do that, which they could.
Yeah, but they already had McMahon call him the B word on TV, and he
Yeah, that's what I'm
didn't really
saying.
do anything to exact revenge. He gave him a nasty look.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, I mean,
And
like,
if you want long-term storytelling, Undertaker could be mad about why the WrestleMania thing didn't lead to Shane not running something, so now he's running the show opposite of Shane. That makes sense. That actually makes a lot of
That
sense.
could
I mean,
work.
Undertaker running it works in so many different ways because Taker's character, it needs to be moved forward in a sense. Like, think about Jericho. His character was moved forward, and people respect that. Everyone was saying Jericho went stale back before the Royal Rumble, but then he started becoming, Mr. Stupid Idiot and Gift of Jericho, and people loved it. Now, if Undertaker, he did a new side to his character where instead of him just being, the dead man and he pops up just for whatever, give him a reason to be mad, and then maybe we could set up a Taker WrestleMania match against the McMahon's next groomed guy, John Cena. That could be a long-term thing where Taker gets mad at the McMahons, but none of the McMahons want to face Taker, so instead that leads to Taker and John Cena.
So I think another good pick here, even though he's on the list of potential names to be drafted, I think Chris Jericho would have been a great name.
Yeah.
Although him and Stephanie with their eternal beef with each other doesn't make a whole lot of sense in that, unless he wound up like GM of SmackDown or something, but then him and Shane don't really get along very well. That being said, again, we're talking about narratives. Of the narratives of GM versus GM, I still think the best one is probably Triple H versus Daniel Bryan, because those guys are just eternal hell-bent enemies, and Triple H never thought anything of him, and Daniel Bryan's got this position now, and now they're competing to put on the best show.
Got a B+ player running a B+ show. That's what Triple H can say.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be great, and actual foster actual competition between the two GMs who have a beef with each other.
I mean, teams that I'd like to see thrown out there. Well, you know what? Not so much Ric Flair. I was going to say Ric Flair. We've seen it done before. I thought it was too short. Stop it, Dan.
No Ric Flair anywhere.
I second that. No Ric Flair anywhere.
Woo.
All right, whatever.
We finally agree.
Yes.
We finally agree.
What about the
a year
other
later.
guy that says woo? What about Sting?
Thank you. That's the way I was going with. That's what I was going to mention with Sting.
I think
'Cause-
Sting as a GM could be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, he worked okay in TNA. I mean, he had his little Joker shtick, but at the end of the day, it was interesting. I'm not saying that I'd like to see him in that kind of role, but I think for a guy that had so much hype surrounding him and so much built up around him, for him to have maybe 3 matches during the few years that he was around, and who can't compete anymore, perhaps putting him in a role of power would be the best thing for him at this point. Maybe giving him that role to make decisions would be, the way to go. But
He comes down from the Raptors, knock Triple H out with the bat and signs the paper.
All right.
yeah, there you go.
All right, let's go ahead and keep things going because we still have a lot of stuff to talk about here. Really quickly, 6 picks from NXT. Who do you guys think are going to be the ones who are going to go? Parisi, you've got your fingers up, so we'll start with you.
American Alpha, Balor, Nakamura, Bailey, Nia Jax. That's it.
Okay, Alphas would be considered one pick based on these rules. So you have
Oh,
one
well,
left.
that's crap. It's true.
Dillinger.
Dillinger, yeah, Dillinger.
Okay, Minor.
I'm going to say Balor is the obvious choice. Alexa Bliss. Carmella. So that's on the 3. American Alpha. 4. Let's say probably Mojo Rawley. Not saying that I want him, but I can see him going up there.
The hype bros, I could see that.
I would
Yeah.
love that.
And we're back to disagreeing again.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
silly. There's another one.
Okay.
I'm up to what?
5.
5? I don't know. Let's say I'd say Blake and Murphy.
Okay. Kobe.
Balor, Alpha, Bailey, because, those 3 are just sort of givens. Then I want to see Naka, because, Nakamura, he did tease something on Twitter, and that's not like Nakamura. Then I'd probably go with Carmella and see how she plays with Enzo and Cass, if she does it all. And then probably, it's really down to Ty Dillinger, The Revival, and Asuka for me, because all 3 of them fit in different ways. The Revival could have beautiful things in the tag team division. Asuka, come on. She's sort of like, if you put Karma and Nia Jax together, but then put it into a Japanese woman, that is Asuka. And then Ty Dillinger, think about this. The 10th pick. Ty Dillinger. It's sort of like Ty Dillinger winning the NXT championship in a last man standing match.
Count 10. Okay.
I was going to say, if I could take back one of my picks, Blake and Murphy, I'd replace them with Nia Jax.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's better.
Sean.
Nia, Alpha, Joe. Nia, Alpha, Joe. Dillinger. This is hard. Alexa. Are Blake and Murphy still a tag team?
No.
You know, we've seen weirder things where they've stuck guys together and broken them apart and brought them up together.
Well,
We've seen things like that.
Blake is now the blonde and beautiful Wesley Blake, I believe.
Yeah,
He's
I know he's
had that
working a
gimmick.
little different.
And then I love Murphy. Like, Murphy's my favorite of Blake and Murphy. So, Buddy Murphy, he's just like up and away, single star. I love him.
Yeah, because I wanted to put like Finn and Blake and Murphy and like the Balor Club, just give them a darker edge and have them like be the WWE version of the Young Bucks, but split up the club and AJ and give Finn, Carl, and Doc and have the Balor Club.
Okay, so the question is how are the people who are set for Takeover Brooklyn's eligible, like really eligible, like, or are WWE going to keep them off the table and keep them separate? Finn is a lock. He's fucking guarantee. He may be first pick overall. I think Nia Jax is also a lock for the fact that she's not on Brooklyn. She's big. She has a look that they're gonna like. She has, you know, the credibility with the Samoan dynasty and whatever. Those are the two who are.
Hey, I brought that up last week, Samoan Dynasty.
I'm not saying make them a group. I'm just saying that she has the family credibility.
Sean Malata.
So the third one, Bailey, maybe. I mean, Bailey's coming up. So I guess it's just a matter of whether or not they want her on this.
Maybe
card
on
now or
Sunday.
not. Yeah, maybe on Sunday. Maybe she's the one that teams with Sasha Banks.
Plus, Kevin Owens did double duty in Brooklyn. Sami
Yeah,
Zayn did
that's
double
the thing.
duty
a lot of
in
people have done
Dallas.
Double duty,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like that's sort of their send off, and that's the
Yeah.
type of thing where you can book Jordan and Gable in the same way, them winning their last match, and you know it's all good.
But the big one is Nakamura, because Nakamura's in the main event.
Nakamura's getting the belt.
It's for the belt. If he's getting the belt, he's not going to be drafted. If he's not getting the belt, then he probably will be drafted.
And we're gonna know tomorrow. Sorry, yeah, tomorrow. It's weird. It's so close, but we're
So-
gonna know tomorrow if he's getting the belt or not, pretty much, or if he's NXT champion and on the main roster. That could give that belt some legitimacy. I don't know. I'm just having a little fun here.
Yeah, I mean, it could lead to an interesting situation, but I don't see them having somebody on the main roster who's going to be in the main roster stay win the NXT title. In which case, Joe is going over Nakamura, which is a big story in and of itself. Or, like I said, if Nakamura, I don't know. I feel like Hideo Itami's another interesting choice.
Yeah, Hideo wasn't even. He's not on the takeover card. He's back and he's doing well.
He's back. He's healthy. So that's an option. Outside, really outside shot, but they're definitely ready. I think TM61 would be a good pick because they're very good.
They need to
I
figure
would
out their
see
name,
them-
though.
Right.
I say
that's
give
why-
them time.
So, but that's the issue, though. Is here's the thing: is that some of the people who would make sense to go up, why would you pick them over? Like Ty Dillinger is a perfect example.
Ten.
He makes a lot of sense to be called up. Why on the face of the fucking earth, realistically, would you ever pick Ty Dillinger over Shinsuke Nakamura? There's a cognitive dissonance that
Oh.
gets presented there.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just read some news. The Lucha Dragons are confirmed to be splitting up.
They
Finally.
just did a Facebook
Big-
Live thing.
That's fine. Let's get Kalisto
Fine.
away.
Yeah, they did a
Let's see
Facebook
fine.
Live, and that's pretty much the
Sin
news I
Cara
have,
sucks.
really.
What's wrong with Sin Cara?
Stop tapping out,
Honestly,
Kalisto.
the wrestler that does Sin Cara, there's nothing wrong with him. He does.
What's wrong with
fine.
Unico?
No, nothing. Honestly, I like Hunico. Hunico's a good wrestler. I just don't like Hunico as Sin Cara number 2. I would much rather he have his own gimmick, and maybe this will allow him to get his own gimmick. And I just feel like next when you stand him next to Kalisto, he gets outshined on a nightly basis. Whereas if you separate them and give Hunico a new gimmick, I think that you could do something better with them.
It's gonna happen with most luchadors standing next to Kalisto, though.
That's true, but if you look at a guy like Neville and stand next to Kalisto, Neville holds his own.
But Neville's not a luchador, really.
No, he's not a luchador, but he's a cruiserweight. I mean, he's a similar style.
It's very Japanese-based what Neville does.
Yeah, he's a mix.
Neville's got a mix. You know, he's got a mix of the luchador style, and he's got a mix of the Japanese style.
It's
So
So
He's sort of like Jushin Thunder Liger without the mask. That's what Neville reminds me of, because he's also great on the mat. I mean, his matches at NXT, like his one with Finn Balor when they did the taping at Central Florida, that was an amazing match because you saw Neville's mat skills, and it pissed me off because they did none of that on the main roster, and yet when he comes back to NXT, he's this great mat wrestler.
I mean, like I said, Neville's a really good round. But just kind of wrapping this all up, the 6 I think. Okay, so Finn, Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss. I agree with. I don't know. Maybe they will do 3 women. So we'll say Carmella, who again I think would be fine on the main roster.
But you don't think she wants to be? I thought she wanted to be champion. I don't see her getting drafted.
Fair. That's fair. That's totally true. But and then American Alpha is probably another good one. And then I got one more.
This is the problem I ran into.
I guess I mean.
Are they doing a supplemental draft?
I mean they can, but I have a feeling that all 6 NXT people are going.
Where's Samson been lately?
Injured.
Broken leg.
She drifted away.
Oh, that's right. Shoot, that's right.
I think for the name recognition, Nakamura. It's going to give you more interest in your international markets, and Nakamura doing double duty for Takeover and SummerSlam. I think he can be used well on both shows.
So no one's brought up Joe.
I feel like they're going to keep Joe there and keep the belt on him. Joe is certainly a possibility, but it's a matter of, again, are they calling champions up? Because if that's the case, if all bets are off and they're calling Joe and Joe's getting called up, I call up Asuka, the Revival. So then it's Finn, Bayley, Asuka, Revival, Joe, and American Alpha.
Well, then again, the past has been kind to NXT champions because Seth Rollins, Paige, Kevin Owens all came up as champion.
Tyler Breeze.
Well,
Breeze wasn't a champion.
I'm talking about champion.
He wasn't? Oh, he only had the match. That's
but
right.
Nonetheless, Neville, Bo Dallas, Big E took years to find his niche, and it was only through kind of lightning in a bottle that he pulled it off.
Well, I'm talking about when they came up as champion. I'm not talking past champion.
Technically, well, I mean,
Kevin Owens, Paige, yeah.
Did Seth come up as champion?
Yeah, Seth came up as champion.
With the shield?
No, he came up with the Shield.
No,
He was with the
but
Shield.
no, he was still NXT champion at the time. I did this research.
Okay,
Yeah.
So he lost it to Big E after he made his main roster debut. Because I
Yeah.
remember that. I mean, I didn't see their debut live. I don't remember them mentioning that he was the.
They never mentioned it. They didn't
Okay.
mention they didn't mention Paige was the NXT Women's Champion at the time either.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
I
they
don't.
did.
That was
I don't
the
remember
thing.
that.
She
Yeah,
had
because they
the
made a big
belts.
deal about it.
She had
Because
the
she had
She
both
had to
belts.
drop the belt.
No, but not on the main roster though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
She absolutely had the
Yeah,
belt in
oh,
her
yeah,
hand
oh,
when
yeah.
she came down.
I don't remember her having it.
Maybe she wasn't holding the belt, but they definitely referenced that she was NXT Women's Champion.
No, they don't. They never have the belt. Like, I don't think the first person to come out with the belt was Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Even Sasha was still Women's Champion, I believe, when she was called up too.
Yeah. What? During the Woman Revolution?
Sasha was champion.
Yeah, she
Since
was
Sasha
champion.
lost
and
it
she
at
lost.
Brooklyn.
Yeah,
She
lost
was
it at
champion
Brooklyn.
into Brooklyn.
Yeah.
She
Because
came
remember,
up
she was
right
like,
before
I'm
Battle.
the
That's
women's
right,
champion.
that's right.
I'm the women's champion, and then she lost.
She didn't walk on television the championship, but she was champion at the time. Probably to, do a transitional kind of thing with it. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But the thing is, like I said, I don't know how they're going to do it this time. Where I mean, if we're talking kind of kayfabe. If I'm a GM and I draft somebody to my show, I don't want them doing other shows. Like you're my guy now. You work for me. So I don't know. Like I don't know how that stuff is going to interact. So there's a few different scenarios I can see as to how this goes down. But let's go ahead and move on. That's what we think as far as our NXT picks, as far as the general manager picks. Let's get off the draft and get on the other hot topic, the Cruiserweight Classic. This first episode happened. Good for the most part. Very good for the most part. Sean Maluda almost kills Kota Ibushi. Other than
He almost killed himself.
And himself. He almost killed everybody in the building with whatever the hell that was supposed to be.
That like sort
Jumped
of.
too early. I looked at it like 3 times. He jumped like a second too early, and he
Yeah.
caught the rope.
Well,
Is that
but
what
the
it was?
tope, it somehow worked because at first I thought it was intentional, where he like flipped over, hit the apron, and then did another.
Yeah, I thought he landed on his knees on the rope and then kind of like flipped over. Nope, he skinned and then he barely caught the landing.
Yeah.
It looked weird, but
still,
good.
nonetheless, a great start to the Cruiserweight Classic. No big upsets so far. Everybody we kind of thought was going to go on went on. Ho-Ho Loon, probably the one that everybody looked at and went, maybe he
But I
doesn't
think he
belong
has the
here.
most potential. I think you keep him
Internet
because he
was
has the
not a
most
fan of that.
potential. I like Ho Ho. Like his facial is like he did everything good. It was just his expressions and the way he sold needs work. But like for like somebody that's young, he has the most upside, I think, in this tournament.
Yeah, and again, this isn't about marketability, and China is a big ass market.
Yeah.
So keeping him in, I don't think he gets out of the second round personally. But
No.
bigger stories come out here too. The people who advanced in this round, Grand Metalik, formerly known as Mascara Dorada in CMLL and in New Japan, as well as Kota Ibushi, were both offered NXT contracts.
Right.
I'm assuming they both accepted. I didn't hear that they turned them down. So those two will be a main part of the WWE family going forward, and I think that they're both excellent people for sure.
Ibushi's been saying he doesn't know if he wants to work WWE. He wants to work in Japan.
Did he say that after he was?
He worked in NXT
Pretty
taping.
sure I
though.
heard that after the contract. Like, he doesn't know if his long-term thing is there.
Well, let's put it this way: money talks, bullshit walks. If he's offered enough money, he'll probably stay there.
I feel like they're gonna do a lot to try and keep that guy around because he really put on a good showcase in that first match, and I'm sure he's only got more to go from there. Plus, just you look at all the I was discussing this with some people last week. If this was a year ago, Kota Ibushi probably looks at the landscape and goes, 2 years ago he definitely looks at it like that. Now you're talking. This is a landscape with Hideo Itami and Shinsuke Nakamura. Tajiri just got re-signed. There's a lot of people from Japan that are there now, and potentially more that are coming in. I think that this is a good environment for Kota Ibushi, and they're all being treated well, being treated with respect, being regarded very highly.
Yeah, and Ibushi's similar with some of the gaijin from Japan. You have Devitt Devitt,
that's true.
Styles, and the Good Brothers, Anderson and Gallows.
Yeah, so he looks at those guys and goes, okay, I know these people, I've worked with these people, I know I can have good matches with these people. So yeah, I think Kota is going to sign, I think Ramitalik's going to sign. Honestly, I don't think the news would have gotten out had they not accepted.
But driving all this, we got to remember, as a WWE network, they're trying to hit as many markets they can to push the product out, and what better way than to grab as many international stars as you can. Kota Ibushi, Shinsuke Nakamura, perhaps Zack Sabre Jr. The list can go on and on. So, I mean, that's probably the best thing to be right now, is to be a international star in the professional wrestling business, because that's probably going to be the best way you can get signed by WWE at this point, is to have a big name and then have them market you and try to gather a crowd around you when they go to wherever you're from, so they can push yourself and then push that market, or push that WWE network to that market. So,
Or be Roman Reigns' cousin.
Yes, that's true. All right, so the other big thing that took place last Wednesday night on NXT, the dream match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Finn Balor. Really quick, guys, I just wanted to get your thoughts overall on this match, and where you guys think this ranks so far in the big Shinsuke Nakamura matches with Austin Aries and Sami Zayn. Mr. Peruzzi will start in the upper right corner.
Great match. I was surprised by one thing, and if I remember right, didn't Balor kick out of one Kinshasa?
Yeah.
I was surprised. If anybody's going to do it, Balor makes sense. I was just surprised this early on they already had somebody kick out of a finisher. Like, I get dream match, all the hype, and the match was great, and it didn't take away from the match. I was just surprised by it. I think it rates just below the Sami Zayn match, but above the Aries match.
Okay, Minor?
I liked the match. I'm not going to say it knocked my socks off, but I thought it was a good match, serviceable. I think they could have done better. I'm not saying they did terribly. If anything, if I had to rate it out of 10, I'd say maybe a solid 7, 7.5, because I know they have so much more in the chamber than what they actually showed. One thing that kind of bugged me a little bit was, the work that was being done to Nakamura's leg, and then as it went on, it's not like, you
He
know,
undersold.
it wore off, but it just kind of like it, all of a sudden he's moving around the leg again. My thing is,
Yeah,
I
he
get
had
the
a Cena
whole,
moment.
I get the adrenaline rush, but space it out a little bit. But like I said, it's just one of those matches you just wanted to throw on NXT television and just not put on like a takeover show for whatever reason. And but it was a solid match. I think they could have stretched it out a little bit more. But when these guys inevitably meet again, we're going to get more out of them than we did now. I think it was just a taste for now, what we got, and we're going to be wanting more in the future. So keep looking out for that. I can see it happening.
All right, and Kobe, what do you
That was probably the most underwhelming NXT match I've seen in a while because
Really?
I expected a lot out of that match, I will say. And what we got was a really good match. And if I saw that match on Raw, or SmackDown, or TNA, or whatever, I would think, oh my god, what a match. But because it was on an NXT show, it was hyped for weeks, and it was between two of the best in the world, it was just like, really? That's all they did? I mean, it was a very good match. I'm not putting it down as a bad match. I just thought they could have done a lot more, and I'm less excited about a match with like good storytelling. Actually, it was great storytelling, but it could have been done so much better. I don't know. That's just my taste of things. But beyond that, it was a really good match. I was very impressed with what they did. It was a very good send-off for Balor. And Nakamura, he's really entertaining. He does so well with everything. And one thing I quickly wanted to point out, you'll notice now when this is something that didn't catch on for a while, but now that Nakamura, whenever he like ends a match, he'll spin around and then he'll do his Yao pose. The NXT crowds are finally starting to catch on with that.
finally picking up on the out?
And it's really exciting because Nakamura, he's being embraced as the future of wrestling. And Balor, him getting a send-off, going to the main roster, it's the type of thing that I'm really excited to see. And, I don't know, just a lot of crazy little things with that match that could have been up or down. Plus, also, I watched that match instead of Ultima Lucha 2 Part 2. Kind of regret that, but oh well.
All right, and Sean, what do you think?
Quick thoughts. I thought it was a really good match. It'll be like number 2, like everybody's been saying, between the 3 big matches he's had. And then I hope it's not his last match. I do want to see the Demon versus Nakamura. So I hope he at least gets one more match with Nakamura down the road, whether it's during the call-up or something like that. But the match itself, like I said, it probably was overwhelming because of all the hype it had to it, and especially nobody talked about the video package and all the stuff they did before the match, which I thought was really well done as well to help build the match more. But other than that, it was a good NXT match, very good NXT match, and it was pretty good.
Would you guys? I'm sorry. Would you guys agree and say like maybe they just gave us a little taste for now, just to see?
Yeah,
I was gonna say that they have to save something for the inevitable rematch.
Exactly. It's
yeah,
something
they had to
that-
say something for the rematch.
Or
Or they could have had for a clean. I don't know. I think if they wanted to draw it out a little bit more, it could have been something like they could have played like the injury angle, like have Finn win somehow, or have it like I don't know, some kind of angle to come out of this, where it's a Joe running or something. Just something to help build to another match. Like if this is clean and this is Finn's last match in NXT, I will be disappointed.
Can you guys see these two men headlining WrestleMania in the future?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
No question. It's just a matter of how WWE pushes them. So my thoughts on the match. I think in terms of the Nakamura big match hierarchy, this is at the bottom, personally.
Same.
I thought Austin Aries and Nakamura was better. Just for the simple dynamic of, I like the fact that Austin was just kind of being kind of a mean, ruthless heel and doing a lot of stuff. It adds a dynamic that we didn't see in the Zayn and Balor matches, where it's like, oh, we're all buddies and we're just gonna fight and it's gonna be sportly competition. This match made me question what is good selling or not, and maybe that's just because I'm a Nakamura homer. But everybody said, oh, well, Nakamura didn't sell the knee and this, that, and other, and it just makes me wonder, like, and again, maybe I'm giving him a pass because I like him so much. Just because you're not hobbling around the whole match, does that mean that you didn't sell well enough? Peruzzi, you mentioned the fact that it took 2.5 Kinshasas to take down Balor. That can be a byproduct of that, and it's also a simple fact of, sometimes you try a plan, you try to execute a plan, it just doesn't work. Balor could have gone in with a plan of working the leg, and because Nakamura throws, like a million kicks in a match and his legs are his primary weapons, they're stronger and more resilient than the legs of, say, Tyler Breeze or whoever. So it just may not have worked out for him.
And to that point, after I think the first Kinshasa, Nakamura was slow getting to the cover because he was holding his knee.
Right.
So I think there was more of the subtleties of the selling in there as opposed to the very obvious hobbling to get to a thing,
So that's the thing, is a more subtle selling, or just like I've said, the fact that you may work a guy's leg and it just might not work. I've seen, in real fights, a guy get hit with 50 leg kicks and he's fine. And then at the same time, I've seen a guy get hit with 10 leg kicks and he's knocked out. Sometimes it just doesn't work. And again, maybe I'm just giving him more credit because I like the guy, but I feel like selling can mean a lot of different things and can be portrayed in a lot of different ways, and not necessarily just, oh, you fucked up my leg and now my leg is useless for a whole fight, because that's just not the way that works. You screw up a guy's leg. I mean, I've seen people fight for 25 minutes with a broken hand and just punch with it like nothing. Whatever, fine, I'll deal with it tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to walk, but right now I'm just going to have to, suck it up and fuck this guy up. So I didn't necessarily mind that much. I do feel like they were probably saving something for a rematch. This wasn't the biggest thing we're going to get. Again, I want to see these two face off when one of them's a bad guy. I want to see this.
Yeah.
There be some animosity behind this. I would have loved to have seen Balor just ambush Nakamura after the match. It would have added
That's
a
what I
lot
thought was
to
going to happen.
Maybe
If he
kick him
lingered
during
in
the yowl.
Yeah, if they did the handshake and Nakamura's got the spotlight and then Finn Balor just bum rushes him and beats his ass, that could have been really interesting. I do think Finn's character, as it stands right now, is getting kind of stale. It needs something. And I think Balor, again, is one of those guys who is better as a heel than he is as a face. And I think he needs to showcase that. Hopefully he will see that more on the main roster. Overall, though, I did think this match was very good. I'm looking forward to seeing them face off again. If this is Finn Balor's last match in NXT, which honestly I do believe it is, barring some sort of Neville-esque return or just a one-off, 6 months from now, I think that's fine, and I'm perfectly happy with that. And we just crossed the 90-minute mark, at least by my clock here. We're a little bit
Really?
under there. Yeah, well, for the setup initially, I guess we will talk about one final subject, and this is something we discussed on the website earlier on. WWE 2K17 releasing a special edition which is going to be an NXT version, which is going to contain a whole bunch of goodies pertaining to NXT. But the most interesting thing about it is that it will include 3 exclusive characters, the characters being Nia Jax, Apollo Crews, and Shinsuke Nakamura. So if you want to play Day 1 Shinsuke Nakamura, you will have to shell out $100 for the privilege.
Never mind. I was
Unless you have a
happy when it was
PS3 like me.
I thought it was like a pre-order special, like pre-order, and then you get these 3 characters. So like, no, pay $100.
You also
for
get-
a game.
You also get like a poster and a figurine too,
You
right?
get an autograph poster.
And
signed
London
by,
canvas.
Signed by Shinsuke Nakamura. You get a Topps card that has a piece of the London Takeover London canvas.
Okay.
And you get a statue of Finn Balor. Like I said, honestly, this isn't a bad deal, but the fact that if you want to...
It's like you get all this Shinsuke stuff. It's about the poster, the sign, the mat, and then you get a Finn Balor thing. Why not a Shinsuke?
Yeah.
Consistency, WWE.
Well,
No, it makes sense. You don't want everything to just be Shinsuke.
Yeah.
Like
I do.
There's enough Shinsuke stuff.
Yeah,
I will
the-
I
gladly.
want a wall of
the
Shinsuke.
London mat isn't Shinsuke related either. So, but like I said, the fact that you have to pay $100 to play, like this would be, and I used this analogy earlier, and at least half of the people who were born before this game came out will appreciate this. But this would be like if when WrestleMania 2000 launched, you would have to pay $100 to play as Chris Jericho. Like this is the closest thing I think that compares to that.
That's dead on,
Yeah.
actually. Right around when Jericho debuted, it was like a couple months later they stuck him in the game. He was already in the engine anyway, so they
Just made
stuck.
the cutoff. They were able to get him in, and I feel like that's the same thing because if you're a diehard wrestling fan, you're gonna want to play as Shinsuke Nakamura. And now there's only 50,000 of these things. Like I was gonna wait until after the game was released and the reviews came in, and if the game was good, I was gonna buy it. Now I'm basically at a choice where not only do I have to decide whether or not I want to buy the game before any reviews for it come out because this is a limited run, I have to pay almost double the cost for the game to play as the one guy I really
So
want to play.
Naka's going to be
It's-
DLC in the future.
Yeah. Or I wait till January, which I may not want to do. That's the thing. So
It will be
Well,
DLC in the
depends-
future, and you're not just straight paying $100. You're already paying what, $65 for the game?
Yeah.
I'm assuming, so it's $35 more you're paying for that.
And if you
Plus,
wanted
you
to
get a
go-
bunch of other stuff. Like it sucks, but that's kind of the world of video games these days.
I don't
That's
know.
where we're at.
I feel like this. I can't think of another time in the WWE pre-order because this is the third or fourth collector's edition they've done. That there has been a character this high profile that's been included in it. Like usually it's an alternate skin or it's a classic wrestler or something. This is one of the biggest wrestlers in the world. You want to play as him? Pay me $100.
I still think you overvalue Nakamura to the overall American wrestling fan.
No,
But that's
I
Well,
think this is going to start quick. To be honest with you, I think he's an up and comer. People love the guy, and just I think they're willing to shell the money out for this. But that being said,
Okay.
is it worth it? Probably. You can wait till January. If you really wanted to piece out what's in the package to get some of the money back, you could. It'd be gas to do. But you could always do that. It happens with everything. You can piece out the pieces you don't want, get some money back, and still get your Nakamura.
So,
But
I'll say like
the end
as
of
a collector
you
myself.
put Nakamura on there. So
go on.
Yeah, as a collector myself, like you can probably take like the Finn Balor statue, probably worth like $10. Like it depends on how much the stuff is going to be worth in the future, like the poster and the piece of the ring, right? Like how much is that stuff going to be valued on eBay to see if you can get your money back? Like if you want to shell out for that.
And honestly, here's the thing: is if this game included everything as it was and removed Nakamura from it, like I would have no problems with this whatsoever. Like this is a good these are good things in here. This is an interesting deal. But the fact of the matter is that, and again, I you and I disagree on this, Cruzy. I think people in the United States, or again, number one, this game isn't just being sold in the U.S. It's sold worldwide. Number two, I think Shinsuke Nakamura, even to the casual wrestling fan, is going to be seen as a bigger name than Apollo Crews and Nia Jax. And number three, it's the fact that the people who that they're wondering whether or not are going to be included in this version, like compared to like last year when you're wondering who's going to be in it, if Finn Balor was going to be in it or not. This year it's AJ Styles, it's Bailey, it's the Horsewomen, it's Shinsuke Nakamura. Like those are the people who you're like, I am looking forward to seeing this person in this game, and Nakamura was one of those people for a lot of the people that are going to buy this game, because just because you're a casual wrestler, if you're a casual wrestling fan, you're probably not spending $65 for a yearly update. You're probably more of a diehard fan if you're buying this game to begin with than just rating them casual. If you are shelling out $65 or $100 for the collector's version of this game, you know who the fuck Shinsuke Nakamura is, and the fact that they're holding back such a big piece and making you pay, 50% of the cost of the game for him, it's a problem.
That's
And
the
you're
point.
talking
That's
about it,
business.
and
That's
right, but it's
that's
shit.
why they're doing it.
It's shit.
Yeah, it's crappy. It sucks. It sucks that collector's editions games cost $100 and regular ones cost $65.
So-
But that's the thing. It's not a WWE thing. It's a video game
Right.
business
So
thing.
you're,
It's two separate things.
Cool, you would be cool with this if this was like, hey, you need to pay $100 to play as John Cena, Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. Like,
Big difference. Those are your main stars.
Okay.
That would be like Halo coming out and saying, you get a day one Spartan lock
but it's good business,
skin.
man.
Yeah, 'cause
good
think about it
business.
like
You'll
this.
make
I didn't
people
say-
pay the money.
Can I interject
not
for a
good
second?
business. It's effective business. It sucks that people will do it.
Hey,
but
Paul.
It's effective
show
business
money.
to do it that way.
Mr. Laporte, listen, we might have to strike up a deal here soon. We'll talk after about it. But, I think if it comes down to it, we'll have to get something going with recording our gameplay the first couple of days with this. You know, with our little game series we have to jump on again. So,
Sean wanted to interject. What'd you have to say, Sean?
Oh, I was gonna say about the whole Shinsuke thing, and like the people you name, like you're gonna have the Horsewoman, Shinsuke, and AJ Styles. You're hitting 3 new markets to people who don't normally play the game. You got the Japanese market, who probably don't even play wrestling games at all if it's not from their country. Women, we got the Women's Revolution, and then you have the indie wrestling fan. We talk about the AJ Styles, so that's 3 different markets you're probably going to be hitting with something like this. And we don't know. It's kind of like a movie released overseas. Like to us, it could be we get Shinsuke when we get this $100 thing, but to Japan, they get it automatically for like pre-order or something like that.
Maybe that's possible, but I haven't heard that that's the case.
Yeah, but like we're just in America. Like when movies go overseas, they got extra scenes for those specific countries, things like that. So it could be something like that.
and you've also, I was going to say, you've also got to think of it like this. You pay $100 for the game initially, and then if you want the additional DLC, it's going to be what? Another $20 at least. Then you get the unlock code to unlock everybody without having to go through all the trouble. That's what, another $20. So this can get very costly very quick. But if you want it bad enough, you can go and buy it. But
And that's just a problem in general that I feel with video games as a whole is just the fact of, this is stuff that you would have just been able to pay $60 and just get 10 years
10 years ago.
Less-
And you know
less
what?
that.
And one of the games, it's weird enough, one of the games that set a precedent for this kind of thing to go down, I don't know if you guys remember, but SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, if you had the PlayStation version of that game, there was one legend that was locked in that game, Jake the Snake Roberts. The only way to obtain him was to buy the PSP version. Now, I love the game, so I wound up buying it for the PlayStation 2. Paul and I would play over the PlayStation Network at that time. We'd play online together. He was in another place, so we'd play that. But I wound up getting the PSP version, and I unlocked the Snake. It's not my main reason. I love the game that much. I played it on the go, but that game kind of set a precedent for this kind of thing to happen. And weirdly enough, it's happening to a lot more games, except, just through the miracle of the internet.
And the thing is, I just feel like this just sets up a really slippery slope down the line. This is going to do really well, and I just feel like, the first of all, these games are a little more than yearly roster updates as it is, and now you're chaining off important sections of the roster and holding it for another 50% of the price over than what it is right now. That's a problem to me. And I feel like it's only going to get worse in the future. And if you're okay with this, and you're going to be okay with the scenario I had to present earlier, in which half of your main guys are walled off, and basically you're going to have to pay, you're essentially going to be paying $65 for the engine, and now you're going to have to just buy pieces of your roster. And
So,
pay even more.
I got it. It's not 50% more. It's 33% more. That's a good size chunk of
33% chance of winning.
$34 so $90 is 50% more than $60. $120 is 100% more than $60.
You're rounding down from the
Which
top
is,
end and up from the
no,
bottom end.
it's
65 and
double
100.
the
It's
cost.
35%.
Double
35%
the
better.
cost is 100% more, correct? Can
Yeah.
you agree with that? Okay.
Yes.
So half the more of the cost is 50% more, correct?
Yes.
Okay. $60 game. 50% more of $60 would be what?
30 more.
Which is
90.
how much does this game cost? More than 50%, everybody.
Are we really playing Math Blaster?
Okay.
Because-
I think you need to be
I-
taught by
I had
Professor
that
Steiner.
switched up. I had that switched up.
Classes
I got
from
what you mean. I
Professor
get what you mean.
Steiner.
I thought you were saying
Oh.
it's straight double the cost.
Poker
It's not
dealer?
straight double the
But
cost.
would you
versus
guys-
professional.
Televised poker dealer, sign off. I thought you were saying it was straight double the cost. So that was my
Scott
confusion there.
Steiner.
Okay,
So-
I see the point there. But the other point I want to make is, you're gonna say no game has ever done that before.
I'm not saying no game
Pokemon
does it,
Red
it's
and
just
Blue.
I don't like it when
Pokemon
it
Red and
happens.
Blue is the quintessential example. You want to go 10
Oh,
years
that's
ago,
different. That's
20 years
different.
ago.
That's
Pokemon Red
totally
and Blue. That's
different.
exactly the same.
No. Listen. As a Pokemon player, you get both games because they have different things on them. You're buying one game and getting everything. It's like too many microtransactions. That was the question I was going to ask. Would you guys rather pay like a $40 game for WWE and have like $5 expansions every so often to keep the game fresh,
I think
or
that's
do something like this?
I think that's better, and that is another thing. And you're bringing it up, and this now we're getting into this being a video game discussion beyond just WWE 2K17. It's a fact of we're still paying $60 for this. Whereas before we would pay $60 and get the full roster. Now we're paying $60 and getting and we're still having to pay more for portions of the game. And
And it sucks.
that's-
And Fallout 4 did it, and I stopped playing Fallout 4 because of it.
Right.
Like, that's just where it's at. It sucks. I don't say I don't agree
Well,
with
there's a
it,
difference
but it's
between
the
DLC.
DLC.
There's a difference between expansions. Like if Shinsuke Nakamura, like if they didn't, if they released this without Nakamura on the roster, and then 6 months, 8 months down the line, or 3 months down the line, they're like, hey, play Shinsuke in the game, pay us $5. Like I'm more okay with that. But the fact that he is in the game, he is there, and it's just
He will be playable later. I would.
months down the line. Like I said, it's
Yeah.
just.
So you just said you were okay with that.
But the thing is, he's there now. It's not like
Yeah.
they're programming him and doing the mocap and then they're putting him in the game after the fact. It's the fact that he is there now, and
Yeah,
then
But you said you'd be okay with not getting him for 3 months for a little bit of money. You're getting him earlier than 3 months for a little bit more money.
No.
for
That's a lot more
50%
than you're
more
talking
of the cost
about
of the game.
50%
That
more,
is
other than like
substantial.
$5 for.
You're
like,
also getting a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah,
Like you
but that's
can't
true.
devalue
And
that.
like I said, but maybe I don't want that other stuff. Maybe I just wanted to be able to, have a game where I can actually play as the people who are in the game. And like I said, it's different when
It's only
Legends.
3 out of 100.
But okay, what they should have did then is like we're talking about video game logic. They should have they stopped doing this, but have it unlockable. Like you have to do certain beat this guy 100 times to get this character, or if you want to do it faster, then you can pay for it.
So-
but
I
like,
wish they would
the
do that
challenge
too
is-
still.
and that gives more
Here's the-
playability.
Here's the weirdest thing to me, and this isn't just with video games, but it's just weird to me how people are willing to defend the greedy causes of a corporation they have no attachment to and then just takes their money. Like, why are you defending them?
I'm not
Because the game is
defending
fun.
it.
I go saying, it's the Candy Crush effect. Like you will pay to get them extra lives. Like I play phone games now, and it's like, do I want to spend this dollar to get my lives back?
Right.
It's just
And-
keep you coming in. It just
and
depends
you
on.
can do that, and that's fine. But why do you if your approach to this is like, yes, this is shitty, but I want Shinsuke Nakamura, so here's $100, which is
Oh,
gonna
no, I can
basically
admit that.
be my view of this, then that's fine. But why are you like, no, this is fine? What's the big deal? Like, this is anti-consumer. They're fucking over the customer, and you're
Yeah.
fine with this. You're supporting their decision.
I don't think
to do
we're
this.
fine with it. We
I'm
just
not-
got used to it over the years.
Yes,
It's
I'm not
like
supporting it.
anything
It's an issue, and there is a lot bigger games issues in the video game world right now than this. There's the fact that unreleased games are getting released, and your day one download is 2 gigabytes to fix all the problems. There are
Yeah.
so many issues with the video game industry right now that it's insane. This just seems like you're nitpicking this because you're a Shinsuke Nakamura homer, and because we're all hardcore wrestling fans, and that's why this is what we're focused on.
Right. Well, yes, this is a wrestling show. That's what we're here to do. We're here to nitpick.
But I don't think in the grand scheme of
True.
things it's that great of a travesty. It
I don't
sucks,
think it's that great of
but
a
it's not
travesty,
the
but I
end of the
needed
world.
something to fill another 10 minutes with, so that's why we brought it up. And with that in mind, that's going to do it for us this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed.
Go talk about Lesnar?
Oh, shit! Oh, god damn it! Why have we been talking about this for the last 15
Okay.
fucking minutes?
Because Shinsuke Nakamura homer here had to talk about Shinsuke for 20 minutes.
God damn it! Oh my god! All right, fine. So Brock Lesnar
Yay!
fails his or is
Laser.
flagged by the USADA for an anti-doping violation, and his fight with Mark Hunt, he tested positive in the pre-fight testing, but not early enough to have the fight pulled, which is why he was still featured. Mark Hunt himself is calling for either the release of Brock Lesnar or, depending on which day you're looking at, either half of his purse or the whole goddamn thing. What do we think about this? What are our general overall reactions to Brock Lesnar?
I have a question for like long-term effects. Like I heard, like if he does get convicted of this, since this is like under like I guess real fighting, it could like hurt him from competing in like a whole bunch of other states as well. Is that true?
So what happens is that he, if he is suspended, then this will mean that he cannot compete in Las Vegas by the Las Vegas State Athletic Commission, or in the Nevada State Athletic Commission rules. Now, what happens is that when you are banned in one state, most of the other bigger states are going to ban you as well. So if you can't fight in Las Vegas or in Nevada, you're not going to be able to fight in California. You're not going to be able to fight in New York. You're not going to be able to fight in Massachusetts.
They just released a thing where the New York Athletic Commission has a special clause where pro wrestling, because it's not a true athletic event, it's a predetermined thing, that won't count. Okay. So no matter what happens with the USADA, Lesnar is 100% on for SummerSlam without doubt.
So the interesting thing, and I did not know that, and that's interesting to know, and I can understand the clause rating case, but the reason that this is even a thing at all is because New York State is one of the few states left in the entire country in which you still have to report to the Athletic Commission to hold a professional wrestling event. Most other states in the country, you do not have to do that. It's not sanctioned by the Athletic Commission. But New York, you still do, because it's just one of those weird things, and if you want to get into, like, backroom dealings, it's, you can argue that that's, something that WWE used to hold down independence, because it is very expensive to run an independent show in New York State for that reason. You need to check the Athletic Commission, you need to be insured. Those are the two things you need to do. So yes, under normal circumstances, if he was banned under one athletic commission, he would presumably be banned under another one as well. But if Dan just heard a report that
I just linked it in our chat that it's there. Okay. The last paragraph is the question of whether Lesnar is fit to participate in a pro wrestling event is one that will be determined by the application of the pro medical judgment of the examining physician, the policies of WWE, and the choices made by Lesnar with regard to his own participation. Not about them.
That is the other thing. Number one, if this does come through as a positive, and we find out that this was some sort of performance-enhancing drug or something. Now, WWE is under no obligation to, if Lesnar did not violate their wellness policy, then they don't have to suspend him. But is it going to look very good if Brock Lesnar does fail for a performance-enhancing drug and WWE goes, well, it wasn't under us, so here you go, he's fighting Randy Orton? Or will WWE then suspend Lesnar as well?
They have already kind of done the sweeping it under the rug thing with their statement. They were like, he hasn't wrestled with us since WrestleMania, which was I didn't like that response at all.
Right, but like I said, if this comes up for something substantial and not just, like a lot of people are rumored that this is just something to do with like an asthma inhaler, which is possible, I suppose. If this ends up being something substantial, it's going to look bad on WWE, especially having just suspended Roman Reigns to let Brock wrestle with no recourse, even though he has been using performance-enhancing drugs. And also, it's going to be a thing of, like, why didn't this come up on your test, WWE? You should be, he's under your contract. Why aren't you testing this guy?
Well, the argument is he needs to go through a lot more rigorous training for a UFC fight than he does for a WWE fight, and he had to cut a bunch of weight.
But it's just a matter of whether or not the mainstream critics are going to care.
But did he take a test for WWE, though? That's the other thing. Did he take a test with them recently? And almost certainly, if he takes an inhaler like the one he was saying, it could trigger a positive. I mean, people I've taken inhalers that have steroids in them, just so you can get...
Inhalers definitely do have steroids in them, but again, an inhaler is a thing where if you report it to the Athletic Commission beforehand, like, hey, I use an inhaler, then they remove that from the list, or at least
he may not have even thought about it. So
that's stupid because he's a trained professional fighter who has had this is his 8th fight. He should know the fucking deal.
No, I mean, you think he would know? Maybe he didn't know. So I mean, you can give him the benefit of the doubt.
I am skeptical that it was an inhaler. I think maybe it was a supplement that he was using that wasn't banned previously, but is now.
Wait.
That seems like it's going to be the most likely.
What if he wasn't even actually What if it wasn't positive? Since just because he was flagged doesn't mean it was actually a thing. Maybe UFC screwed up. I don't know.
The U.S. Anti-Doping Agency don't make a lot of mistakes in terms of false
Yeah.
positives.
How long did it take international doping agencies to catch Lance Armstrong, though?
Yes,
they never
true.
caught him. He admitted after
in
the
the
fact,
way
like,
of false positives, they very rarely screw up.
That's
In
fair.
false-
But here's the thing: he also passed a bunch of other exams right before that.
Yeah,
so it's
true. So this wasn't even right before the fight. It was,
It was June 28th. The test was done.
Yeah.
but there were probably other tests he had to have taken, and that probably would have. He probably would have had to get
Okay.
positive on other
Well,
tests.
if
So
he's
that
been taking this inhaler all along, presumably, why is it only showing up? That's the thing. There's a lot of questions. And,
Yeah.
But in the way of false positives, he does have
the
a
questions are always changing.
He does have a B sample they can test, which I haven't heard if they're requesting that or not. But there's a lot of questions that are going to come up out of this, and honestly, if this isn't some sort of fluke thing, then it's gonna hurt the credibility of Brock Lesnar. It's gonna hurt the credibility of WWE if they continue to keep him on for the SummerSlam match.
Like Paul did say, it could have been anything from a inhaler to a supplement that got him popped. Just like Roman Reigns, I was talking about a couple weeks back. Same thing with him. It could have been anything from, a supplement that tripped the drug test to who knows what else. Maybe something was illicit that he took. Who knows? At this point, we just got to let this ride out and see where it goes from here. Thoughts, guys?
Yeah,
I'm just thinking about Brock Lesnar like suplexing somebody, then going for his inhaler like during the match.
fucking nerd.
Well, yeah, storyline purposes, Roman's getting redeemed with this redemption thing. So Lesnar, it's probably gonna be like, hey, you use drugs, Brock Lesnar. I can beat you if you ain't on the drugs.
What's that accent?
That's his Roman Reigns impression, everybody.
Well,
Was that,
I don't know.
Matt
I mean,
Hardy.
look at that
fight
face.
for Roman Reigns.
Top notch. All
Yeah,
right.
like get broken Matt Hardy in there. Brother Brock.
Okay.
There
we're
it
shutting
is.
down.
I think it's time to wrap this
It's
up.
over. Let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank
You said Matt Hardy. You set me off.
Thank you for tuning in.
You're
ladies and
welcome.
gentlemen. Please be sure to check out the website. That's changingtheqs.com, www.changingtheqs.com, where we're going to have recaps of Monday Night Raw by Mr. Peruzzi, who's holding up the Jericho book now, as well as SmackDown Live recaps by our usual SmackDown recap with Earl Marks. I'm sure we're going to have some discussions and news bits in regards to the draft, as well as the Cruiserweight Classic. And NXT, which will be taking place on Wednesday. A recap by Eliza Hornblass. Everybody just shoves their faces into the camera. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Changing the Qs. That's at Changing the QS. If you want to like us on Facebook, just search for Change the Questions there. And if you want to send us a good old-fashioned email, you can do so. changingthequestions@gmail.com for Mr. Peruzzi, for Mr. Marks, for Mr. Schoolman, and for Mr. Minor. My name is Paul Laporte. And we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.
Best in the derp.